guys see me? Yes, this is my face reveal. This is my first video on camera. I'm really excited to make reaction videos for you guys. And since you guys can finally see my face, you guys can see my full reaction, which is really good. So let's just get into it. PBS Kids was underrated. Now modern PBS is unwatchable.
Something was wrong with PBS Kids the moment that the logo became a corporate, forgettable nothing burger. Or maybe it was when they started making shows that have literally zero cultural impact. Why would anybody hunt the weather?
What the frick is the Weather Hunters?
Or perhaps it was when they brought back Ruffman, a cartoon dog who used to host one of the most genuinely mental game shows in children's television. Ruffman, a cartoon dog.
I love that dog. I used to watch him every day.
Who used to host one of the most genuinely mental game shows in children's television history, and then they turned him into a sponsor mouthpiece for artificial intelligence.
Ruffman here. Today, I have a poem for you, written by me, with help from an AI chatbot.
But we'll get to that. Thing is,
that's sad. They genuinely ruined a kid's source of watching with AI.
I'm British. I didn't grow up with classic PBS Kids. Never watched a single episode of Peg and Cat.
I watched Wildcrats, Arthur, this one math show. Those were like the three main shows you would watch on PBS Kids.
Or Cyber Chase on telly after school. My childhood was CBeebies, CBBC, Tracy Beaker, Horrid Henry, Shaun the Sheep, Charlie and Lola. PBS Kids was this entirely American thing that simply didn't exist in my world. But here's what's weird. I still know PBS Kids, or at least a version of it that existed in the 2000s and the 2010s, through sheer cultural osmosis. You see the memes about Arthur's Fist, someone mentions Word Girl, and you end up watching it and realizing it's pretty bloody brilliant. This shared nostalgia for a golden age of educational television that apparently shaped an entire generation. But then I started hearing something else over the past few years. PBS Kids is dead.
It is. It sucks now. I remember I used to watch all the good shows back then, and now they're just either fucking remakes or they're just bad.
Modern PBS Kids is now doomed to fail. So, naturally, I got curious because, well, I'm a nosy bastard. I started looking at the current PBS Kids lineup. Shows like Work It Out Wombats.
Okay. These are all the shows I watched. Daniel Tiger, a little bit. Wildcrats. No. I don't know and no.
Lila in the Loop. Weather.
So only these two are really the ones I watched out of this lineup.
Hunters. And I couldn't help but wonder, will kids still be talking about these shows in 20 years? Will anyone have YouTube channels dedicated to wombats like Matt Neff does about Arthur and FUDW? Now, some of these newer shows, Carl the Collector for one, are genuinely good, but that might just be the exception that proves the rule. But before we get onto these newfangled shows, you gotta look at what happened to Ruffman, because it ain't pretty. Part 1, the slow death of Ruffman. Fetch with Ruffman was classic PBS Kids at its best. It ran from 2006
I used to watch Ruffman
to 2010. A live-action game show hosted by an animated dog, which is a genuinely unhinged concept, but it worked. Hit subscribe for more deep dives on American TV from...
Okay, since he's telling you guys to subscribe, I want to tell you guys to subscribe, and you guys know what I always say. Only subscribe if you guys like my videos, because if you guys don't like my videos, what's the point of subscribing? Let's get back into the video.
A British point of view. Thank you, back to the video. And it worked because the character had real personality. Imagine if Shaun the Sheep could talk and hosted Funhouse. That's
weird to think about, but would be a cool idea.
Roughly the energy. Ruff was neurotic and sarcastic, the kind of character who'd panic over point tallies and get comically outwitted by the kids. Jim Conroy voiced him and every other animated character on the show. There was a cat called Blossom who operated the camera and never spoke. Kids did real challenges. The show even won an Emmy. Then it got cancelled because, well, you guessed it, PBS ran out of money, which is a recurring thing.
The thing is, PBS runs out of money, and now I heard on the news that PBS isn't going to be funded by the government.
with this lot. Ruff resurfaced briefly in 2014 in a series of web shorts called
Yeah, I watched the remake and I watched a little bit of the game show.
Humble Media Genius. Harmless stuff about internet safety and not texting while driving. Then, in March 2024, a second season dropped. Fans were excited for about 30 seconds. What they got was a series of shorts, funded in part by Microsoft, in which Ruff enthusiastically teaches children how to use AI chatbots and voice assistants.
I guess that's good for kids to learn how to use AI, but it's bad because
Hallie is an artificial intelligence assistant, which means it's programmed to help with things like this. Hallie is amazing!
Blossom is gone. No explanation, just gone. Replaced by a talking blue cat called Lupine, who's voiced by someone else entirely.
So you're saying the black cat got removed, the camera cat?
And this breaks the whole dynamic of the original, where Conroy did every voice. The animation is flatter and cheaper. The writing has been completely defanged. The neurotic, bumbling, funny character has been smoothed out into this chirpy, tech-positive mascot.
God damn! Okay.
Who explains algorithms with the enthusiasm of a corporate training video.
I don't think it shows the real Ruff, or tells me much about media.
Oh, now it's hopeless.
You know, you could get some help from artificial intelligence.
When we hit the pothole, I was worried we'd be stranded for hours.
As one fan on Reddit put it, frick it.
Frick it! I just saw the new episodes of Rough Man's Humble Media Genius and I had to throw myself off the screen. Just by the fact that Blossom is replaced by some blue cat named after an anime character and the fact that the animation sucks also.
I just saw the new episodes and I had to throw myself off the screen. When people are swearing,
if people are swearing and saying a show is bad, you already know that that's a top one show you do not want to come across.
about a PBS Kids show, something has gone properly wrong. Ruffman is basically the whole PBS Kids problem shrunk down to one character. He had a soul, they took it out, and they replaced it with a Microsoft sponsorship and some
the fuck? They spelled color wrong! That's how you know it's fucking AI!
talking points about AI safety. He's still technically the same dog, but he's not, really. Smash that like button if you want me to do a deep dive on what the hell happened to Ruff.
Okay. Smash the like button, like and subscribe only if you guys like my videos. I'm saying this for the second time. You know what? I'm going to say it every single time he says it. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video only if you guys like it. Because if you guys don't like it, what's the point of liking and subscribing?
Ruffman. Bro needs investigating. So, after seeing what they did to Ruff, I assumed the whole network had just gone to hell. I was expecting the worst. Rock bottom ratings, scathing reviews. Except that's not what I found at all. Part 2. The Paradox. A modern show, Weather Hunters, that
What is this show?
Al Roker climate show that premiered in September 2025, has an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb. That's higher than a classic PBS show like Arthur, which scored a 7.4. Higher than Curious George at 7.2. Absolutely.
What? Okay, Clifford wasn't the best.
Trounces Clifford at 6.5. Even beats Cyberchase at 6.9. Carl the Collector, another modern PBS Kids first show centered entirely on an autistic lead character, 8.4 out of 10. More modern PBS shows score super high too. Lila in the Loop, 8.5. Working Out Wombats, 8.3. So, according to the actual data, PBS Kids is making better television than the golden age that
I feel like that's fake. It's just that back then they were more strict in like how they would create stuff. Now they're just like, fuck it. You get 8.4, you get 8.5, you get 6.7.
everyone's nostalgic for. The numbers don't lie, right? But pull back a bit and you notice something. Weather Hunters has 77 reviews. Carl the Collector has 167. Compare that to Arthur with over 17,500.
Okay, now that makes sense. I didn't know that they were looking at this. I thought they were looking at like how it was created by like the people, like the people that watch the show, not based off of that.
Or Clifford with more than 6,000. Arthur's ratings might be lower, but the numbers actually mean something. A high rating from 77 people doesn't actually show you if a show is good. It actually tells you that almost nobody is watching. Arthur has had 25 years for people to grow up and go rated on IMDb. Weather Hunters has had about 5 months. But it's not like Weather Hunters is trending upwards and just needs time. It's barely registering. Conversely, shows like Odd Squad were generating fan communities and online buzz while they were still airing. Some shows just grab people while they're on. And the current lineup?
I know how it is. So they make kids. So this is old PBS, the WPBS. This is new PBS, the slow PBS, like the type of people. So what they did back then is that they would produce good show after good show. They wouldn't like try to attention grab you. They would actually make them good. While new PBS grabs brain rotted pictures for kids to be like, oh, that's a cool picture. Let me just click on the episode and get hooked to it. That's basically what's going on right now.
Doesn't seem to be doing that. Shows like Lila in the Loop exist.
Like this is brain rotted picture. Sorry, it's like a picture that would make kids go into it more than out.
In this weird space where they're technically good, measurably good even, but they've completely failed to penetrate culture in any meaningful way. And that disconnect is fascinating because it suggests something's fundamentally broken here.
Oh my god! Okay, I'm sorry, but
broken beyond way more than just this new thing's bad. Because this new thing, it isn't bad by traditional metrics. So what's actually going on? Part 3. The horror stories. There's an entire wiki page dedicated to PBS Kids.
Look, that's their new logo. What happened to the kid? I love that. I loved how they had that kid.
2022 to present, to reads like an obituary. I mean, literally, the tone is that feudal. Here's what users are writing. Most of their new shows nowadays focus on protecting the environment, learning about cultures, or learning to be a good person, which...
That's basically what they did back then, but they did it in a more meaningful way.
While not necessarily bad, can get bland, repetitive, and tedious.
Exactly.
Fair enough, you might think. Educational shows being educational and all that. But then it gets harsher. They list a ton of classic shows.
Bob the Builder, Thomas and Friends, Between the Lion, Mass. Okay, I watched this. I watched Bob the Builder. I watched Word Girl. I'd watch Martha Speaks. I watch Rough Man. I watch Ready Jet Go. I watch Dragon Tales. I watch Clifford the Big Red Dog. And that's all.
Ready, Jet, Go, Rough Man, Maya and Miguel, Dragon Tales, saying that they've either been screwed over or unnecessarily cancelled and replaced with these boring, cringeworthy and lifeless cartoons that, despite some being good, feel absolutely nothing like actual PBS Kids shows. And
like they make good shows now, but they don't make it how it was back then. Like, they make it worse than how it was back then.
when it comes to the 2022 rebrand, compared to the previous brandings, the 2022 rebrand feels very lazy.
They just took off the kid and changed the colors.
Uninteresting, and just plain simple at best. Then, I found this blogger who watched the entire 2024 PBS Kids lineup, which makes her an absolute masochist, but her observations are brutal. On Lila in the Loop. When this came on, my immediate reaction was confusion. I don't get what this show is about. There's no hook. On Work It Out Wombats, she managed exactly one line. They roll on their enormous heads, which is distressing.
No bigger heads to make kids interested in the show.
That was it. That was the whole review. The fact that they couldn't be bothered to say more tells you everything. Sidekick, Stu, a little blue character who's meant to teach kids about programming logic. Stu has no common sense.
Now, that's just stupid. He might... Okay.
He is simply a programmable entity. That's your lead character's sidekick? At least a sidekick like TW from Arthur stays in the memory. Part 4. The real problem. As I've been updating my knowledge on classic PBS for this video, I thought it was only fair if I sat through several episodes of these new shows to see if I was missing something. I know it might sound harsh, but I think it's true. Kids today, they're not going to be able to remember these shows. It's obviously more complicated than PBS Kids went.
Yeah, like, I still remember the shows I used to watch back then. But in, like, I'm 13, because I turned 13 recently, since my parents monitored my YouTube channel. But think about it. 7 years ago, I still remember half the shows I watched. I remember some of the characters.
Bad. The current lineup skews much younger than the old days, almost exclusively preschool. The shows are designed with sensory-friendly palettes, slower pacing, very clear educational objectives, and honestly, there is genuine innovation happening. Carl the Collector employs autistic actors at every level of production: writers, animators, advisors. It spent 9 years in development, which, in television terms, is roughly the same as building a cathedral. The autism representation is so authentic. The one PBS advisor who was recently diagnosed said, "I wish this series existed."
Yeah, the thing is, I guess I would wish that this was when I was a kid because it would teach me about, let's just say, autistic people. So I understand that part.
When I was a kid. And other shows fulfill an important role too. Weather Hunters teaches climate science effectively. Alma's Way centers a
Yeah, no kid's gonna freaking learn what climate change is at the age of 3.
Puerto Rican family in the Bronx. That stuff matters.
That sounds racist.
And I don't want to dismiss it. But having said that, I don't think any of this is gonna stick. And that's a problem, even if the shows themselves are well made. PBS Kids became cautious in ways that hurt what they were actually putting out. They started designing shows by committee, prioritizing educational objectives, overtaking creative swings. And look, I get why. All that stuff, it does genuinely matter. But somewhere in that process of making sure that everything ticks the right boxes, they forgot that what makes a show stick in a kid's brain is whether or not that show has soul. Whether it's that kind of weird and specific thing you can't forget, even if you wanted to. Nobody sits around at age 25 or 30 going, "Remember that show that met all its curriculum targets?" That's just not how memory works. They're not going to remember them the way that millennials remember Arthur, or the way
The scene, okay, it was just the scene, alright? It was
Gen Z remember Wild Kratts and
I loved Wild Kratts. She was bad.
Odd Squads. And I think there's two main reasons for this. The first reason is that iPad culture has completely changed how kids consume media. They don't sit down at 4 p.m. to catch their show anymore. When I was a kid, you'd race home from school to catch Horrid Henry before...
I remember back then, the second I got home, I would eat dinner like a normal kid, and I would run straight to the couch and watch TV. I don't care if I had homework or not.
That was an event that mattered to you. Let me know in the comment section. What show did you love to watch when you came home from school? Get typing.
Same thing. I'm going to ask you guys the same question because I feel like since I get 20 subscribers, I might get a little more views so you guys could comment. Comment down below. You guys what show did you guys watch? It could be PBS, Nickelodeon, any of those shows.
In that comment section below. Anyway, kids nowadays, they scroll through Netflix and YouTube Kids and Disney Plus.
I became that kid I became that kid around 11 years old. So I didn't even start doom scrolling to not that long ago.
Endless algorithm feed designed to keep them watching until their eyes glaze over and their parents start questioning their life choices. PBS Kids was built on the idea of scheduled, shared programming, but that model is basically dead now. And you can't really blame PBS for losing a fight against Cocomelon and Brainrot AI slop on YouTube Shorts when those platforms run on algorithms that would make a gambling company blush. The second reason, and honestly the more important one in my view, is that these shows play it way too safe. Safe, by the way, in ways to make them unmemorable, even to the kids who are actually watching them. Let me show you what I mean by looking at the visual homogeneity of the entire lineup. They all look fine and professional and inoffensive and completely unobjectionable, which is to say it looks quite boring if we're being totally honest.
Only Wild Kratts is the good one.
Now, compare that to the wild variety of classic
Sesame Street, Curious George, Clifford the Dog, Arthur, Rough Man, Magic School Bus, Dragon Tales.
PBS Kids shows in the 2000s and 2010s, where every show looked completely different from every other show in ways that were immediately
And then those kids I think was
recognizable. Arthur had that hand-drawn book illustration style that looked like Mark Brown's actual illustrations come to life. Between the Lines was this absolutely mental puppet animation live-action hybrid that shouldn't have worked, but somehow did. Word Girl had that Flash-style superhero look. Every show is visually unmistakable. You can pause a frame for half a second and know exactly what you're watching without any doubt. It's like how you never confuse Charlie and Lola with Horrid Henry. They looked completely different because they were completely different shows made by completely different people with completely different ideas. The current PBS Kids shows just blur together in your memory because they're all variations on the same house style.
That's crazy. So are these all different shows or is that one show?
Like they came from the same factory with slightly different paint jobs. Now, I should say, PBS Kids proved they can still do it when they actually bother. Carl the Collector came out in November 2024 after nearly a decade in development and is properly good. Their first show with an autistic lead, Emmy nomination, and a fan base that goes way beyond toddlers. Autistic adults are watching it and saying, this is the first show where I've ever felt seen. It's got 3...
That's powerful for them. I think that was a good idea for them to do that.
Autistic characters who are all autistic in completely different ways. Carl's verbal and stims with his fingers. Lotta has sound hypersensitivity, and Paolo is non-speaking and uses a communication device, which is a PBS Kids first. An autistic professor sat in on every episode from start to finish, changing things like 4 days to 4 days, 11 hours and 56 minutes, because that's how Carl would actually say it. His parents are divorced, and nobody makes a fuss about it. His friends
I feel bad for Carl.
Argue with him and get it wrong and figure it out. It's modeled on Peanuts. Carl and his mate Sheldon are basically Charlie Brown and Linus, and the kid actors mostly do unedited takes, so they sound like actual children rather than tiny adults reading a script. Modern PBS Kids deserve credit for having the guts to build an entire show around neurodiversity without making it feel like homework. But most shows on this lineup don't do this. They're neither this brave nor this bold. And the writing suffers from the same problem of playing it safe. As Joy Massat said about Lila in the Loop, there's no hook. The shows are educational and well-intentioned, but they lack personality.
See, that's not the artwork I remember when I was 5. That is not the artwork. This is more like Mr. Beast if he made an animated show on how to get money. I don't know.
And the kind of zany energy that made kids actually care about the characters beyond just passively watching them. Nature Cat was a house cat who was terrified of water.
Nature Cat! I love this show! I literally watched it every day! That dog, because I have a dog, so that dog was my favorite character in the entire show.
But desperately wanted to explore nature anyway. That's funny and absurd and memorable because it's such a ridiculous premise. Peg and Cat had this whole thing where they solve math problems through song, which sounds like it shouldn't work at all.
I think I watched this show once, but then I didn't really watch it.
But somehow did, because they committed to the bit completely. But can you name a single character from Work It Out Wombats and describe their personality, or what makes them interesting as characters, rather than just being educational vehicles? I certainly can't. It's just wombats who work things out, which is exactly what the title promised, but also somehow less than you'd hope for, because they're just competent problem solvers, and that's it. There's nothing memorable about them.
The title isn't even
pleasant content that washes over you and then evaporates like it was never there. Part 5, The Great Purge. But the real gut punch came in October 2022, when they just started axing shows wholesale, as this tweet reads.
5 shows are being removed from PBS 24/7 schedule. I watched Martha Sparks.
5 shows are being removed from PBS Kids 24/7 schedule beginning Monday. Classic Clifford, Word Girl, Word Mouth, Martha Speaks, and Splash and Bubbles will no longer have a recurring time slot on the national schedule. 5 shows gone. Just like that, removed from the schedule entirely. I've watched episodes of each of these shows while researching this script, so I know this is true. You could watch 5 seconds of any of them and know exactly what you were watching. As for the new shows, as the Qualitypedia users put it, these cartoons feel absolutely nothing like actual PBS Kids shows. Part 6, The Death Blow. And then, just as PBS Kids was navigating this creative identity crisis, trying to figure out what it wanted to be in the streaming age, the floor completely collapsed from underneath them. In May 2025, the Trump administration terminated the Ready to Learn grant, a program that had been run.
That's what made me mad. Because when I was older, and let's say I had kids, I wanted to show my kids PBS Kids. But I don't even know if they're going to go bankrupt or something.
Running continuously since 1995 and provided seed money for PBS Kids' educational content development. The Department of Education called the grant funding woke propaganda, despite the fact that the grant had been awarded during Trump's first term under Secretary Betsy DeVos, which is quite ironic when you think about it. Then, in July 2025, Congress passed a rescissions package, eliminating all $1.1 billion in CPB federal funding. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting announced in January 2026 that it would cease operations entirely, just shutting down. Done. The impact on PBS Kids has been absolutely catastrophic. 30% staff reduction across PBS Kids happened almost immediately. Over 80 educational games were removed from the PBS Kids website.
I used to every day in like 4th grade, I went on the PBS Kids website every day.
Because there was nobody.
It was just a thing I did. I don't know why.
Left to maintain them, which is particularly grim when you consider how much work went into developing those. And the new show pipeline was cut in half because there's simply no money to developing programming at the scale they used to. PBS Kids SVP Sarah DeWitt told Education Week, "Right now, I'm looking at 2027 and we don't currently have a show that we can launch." Jesse
What?
McMahon.
They should go like let's say PBS Kids ever releases another show, they should go back to how they used to animate.
Content producer for Carl the Collector wrote in the Bangor Daily News, "Our children will pay the biggest price."
Exactly.
And meanwhile, CBeebies, which is basically the British version of PBS Kids, publicly funded, no ads, same age group, is still making mad stuff. Hey Dougie won 4 BAFTAs and produced a techno song about a stick that got played on Newsnight. They do Shakespeare, the actual Globe Theatre for toddlers. Sarah and...
That's good! Looking at this point, I'm gonna start watching CBeebies with my kids. If I ever get them, if I ever have kids, I will start watching CBeebies.
Duck is about a girl and her duck in a world of sentient shallows, and it won an international Emmy. And then the channel switches itself off at 7 o'clock because it's bedtime. PBS Kids runs the channel 24/7 and still can't figure out what it's exactly for. Guess that's just another W for us Brits. Sorry, Americans. And when the funding crisis finally kills what's left of the development pipeline, when the last new show...
I remember in like the middle of the, like at the end of the shows in between, they would do like exercises like they're doing right now that he's showing.
Airs and the schedule becomes nothing but Daniel Tiger reruns because there's no money to make anything new. We'll look back and realize something quite sad. I can still remember every episode of Shaun the Sheep I watched as a kid.
I loved the baby in Shaun the Sheep. I loved him.
I can still quote Horrid Henry, and I can't help but doubt that anyone's going to be saying that about...
I can't quote anything from any show.
Work It Out Wombats in 2045. The final Ready to Learn funded show, Phoebe and Jay, premiered on February the 2nd, 2026. After that, the pipeline goes dark. Nothing coming. Empty schedule streaming into the future. Cartoon Movement made a fantastic video called...
You see, like, I used to watch Daniel the Tiger, but now it just sucks. I remember Arthur the Tiger and Word Girl and the other ones, like, what's it, Nature Cat? Those were fire.
The problem with modern PBS Kids, nobody talks about. So do go and check that video out. And if there's anything you want to see me do a video on next, let me know in that comment section below. Thank you so much for watching my video.
Oh yeah, guys, I want to tell you guys something. I'm going to start filming a little bit of IRL videos. But if you guys want to see my next video to be an IRL video, or react video, type it out in the comments because I'm interested in what you guys want to watch. Make sure to like and subscribe only if you guys like my videos. Because you guys will like my videos, will support and subscribing. Peace.